Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and Nokia just dropped the all-new Nokia 3.2. This is the box and here is the phone. So in this video, I'm going to give you a first impressions of this one and see if it's really worth your money. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or you'll get a smacking from me just like that box got, and also hit the bell icon right next to it so they get notified for the videos that we put out. I'm serious. Well, in the box you get a 5V 2A charger, that means a 10W charger, a micro USB cable, and you get earphones that are not in-ear styles but old earphones that we used to get with the phones, and I think a few of my colleagues are really in love with them, so I'm going to give this to them. But that's all that there is in the box. Let's get to the phone. The Nokia 3.2 is a classic Nokia design, and I say that because even if you look at the Nokia 4.2 that you saw, it just looks like this. The camera module here, the fingerprint scanner placement, the Nokia branding, it just all screams classic Nokia. Well, this also uses polycarbonate. Now, I have actually been impressed by Nokia's work with polycarbonate and plastic in their phones. And in fact, the Nokia 3.1 Plus had a matte plastic back, something that I loved a lot. This one doesn't. This one has a glossy back, and I've already started seeing scratches with this one. Now, that is a problem that you have with glossy backs. I don't know why Nokia went back from that matte design, but it is what it is, and I already have scratches and it's not even been a day that I've took it out of the box. So that's the design for you. But apart from that, holistically, the device is quite good in the hand. It's a large phone, larger than most phones at this price, but it's ergonomic as well. There is a certain weight to it that makes it feel quite comfortable in the hands. The curves are really good and ergonomic, and the fingerprint scanner placement, which is a thing that I use a lot, it's quite comfortably and perfectly placed, so I don't have to have a problem with that. Now, just like the Nokia 4.2, this one also surprisingly has a power button that lights up. It's a slightly thinner power button than the 4.2. I actually liked the power button on the 4.2 because that had little more space for my fingers to press it. This one doesn't, but it still glows, so that's good. You have volume rockers on the same side as the power button as well. On the left side, you have the SIM slot, but you also get a third button. Now, what is that third button? If you've seen the Nokia 4.2 review, then you probably know what that is. That is the button to call on Google Assistant. So yes, Google Assistant has a separate dedicated button on this. So as you can see, this button is for Google Assistant, and I've said this in my 4.2 review. I'm someone who uses Google Assistant a lot, and for not having to call on OK Google all the time, and just with the press of a button I can get the Google Assistant even on the lock screen, that is something that is amazing. That is probably going to be one of my favorite features on this one. Apart from that, you have a micro USB port at the bottom, a single speaker grill, a noise cancelling microphone on the bottom, another noise cancelling microphone on the top, along with a headphone jack. That's it for the design. Now let's move on to the display. Now the display on the Nokia 3.2 is a 6.26 inch 720p plus display. Now this, unlike other phones at this price, is not an IPS LCD panel, it's a TFT panel. TFT panels are not really that inferior to IPS LCD, but IPS LCD generally is slightly better, and TFT displays are generally used in phones where there is a lot of cost cutting. Now, apart from that, if we keep all that aside, the display quality is actually not that bad. There is no pixelation that I can see. If I look too closely, only then I'll find that pixelation. The display is quite good. I watched some content on it. I did not feel that the display was really bad. With the 6.26 size as well, I think this is a really good display. Nothing to worry about as such. There's no color shift found on the display. There is some light bleed at the bottom, but that is only noticeable if you look very closely. But I think the display part, the Nokia 3.2, is not too shabby. Then what is too shabby? Well, the processor, the performance part, and the specifications part of the Nokia 3.2 is something that is not very exciting. Inside, you do get a Snapdragon processor, a Qualcomm processor, and it's the Snapdragon 439. Now, the Snapdragon 400 series has not been known to be among the powerful ones. The 439 is not even an octa-core processor, it's a quad-core processor, which is very rare to find these days. It's a quad-core processor based on the Cortex A53 architecture. What that means on paper is that it's not a very powerful processor, and I felt that as soon as I took it out of the box. The animations were a little choppy. My surfing through the phone was not really as smooth as I expected it to be. That said, this is still my first impressions and this is a pre-production unit, not the final one. Retail unit might be slightly smoother than this. That said, don't expect it to be a gaming device for you. Now coming to the performance of this as such, there is face unlock on this phone that works quite well. That said, I use the fingerprint scanner a lot more because it's much faster and more reliable. So there are phones that have faster face unlocks and where I don't even remember the fingerprint scanner being there. But here I do use the fingerprint scanner more. Now for the people who really want a good face unlock on their phone, this is not the one. But for the fingerprint scanner, I think this is really good. Now there's just one thing. While the fingerprint scanner is actually placed quite comfortably, the camera module is right above it. What that means is that there might be times where you end up keeping your finger on top of the camera module instead of the fingerprint scanner, hence getting the camera smudgy. So there were times where the camera was smudgy and I had to wipe it before taking a picture. Now in a nutshell, the Nokia 3.2, even for its price, is nowhere near the best gaming device, but that said, for everyday use, this shouldn't be a big problem. Now coming to software, that's not really a lot that I can say about the software. It's Android one, so you get stock Android, you get clean minimal Android experience. What that means is that for the processor to run, this is probably the best software that it could run because it's very, very light. When you buy phones from other smartphone manufacturers that run a custom skin, they're built on top of stock Android, which means that they have stock Android and they have the skin on top, which makes the OS slightly heavier, which also means that they need a better processor to run those processors smoothly. This one, although uses a Snapdragon 439, because this has stock Android, it runs quite smoothly. It's still not the best that you can find at this price, but with the software, I think the experience is going to be really amazing. Also, you have a Google Assistant button, which very rarely any phones provide. Now, finally coming to the cameras, we have a single camera setup at the back. It looks like a dual camera setup, but it's not. It's a single 13 megapixel sensor with an LED flash here. And on the front, you get a 5 megapixel sensor in that water drop notch or whatever notch you want to call it. Now, how do these cameras perform? Well, here are a few pictures with these cameras. This is a first impression, so I'm going to reserve my thoughts, but you don't have to. So take a look at these pictures. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think of the camera samples of the Nokia 3.2? Do you think that they're worth the price? Let me know. And also, if you want me to do a full review, I'll do that as well. Let me know in the comment section how excited you are for the Nokia 3.2. Now from camera, we finally come to battery, and we have a 4000 mAh battery inside this one. That 4000 mAh also makes it slightly thicker than other phones. It's not uncomfortably thick, but it is certainly thicker than other phones at this price. What that 4000 mAh battery gives you though is, as Nokia claims, a 2-day battery life. Now if they'd made that claim with a 1080p display and maybe a more power hungry processor, I would not have really thought that that would happen. But with the Snapdragon 439 and that TFT display with a 720p plus, I can easily get behind the fact that this phone can give you 2 days of casual use. Also, you get a 10 watt charger inside. What that means is that that 4000 mAh battery is not going to take all day to charge. And with that, we come to an end of this first impressions. This was a quick look at the Nokia 3.2. Let me know what you thought of this phone in the comment section. Let me know how excited you are for this one. If you missed our Nokia 4.2 review, you'll find that linked in a card up here. So don't forget to go ahead and watch that if you're a true Nokia fan. With that, I leave you to it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and I'll catch you in the next one.